Hey everyone, it's weather for Weather Geeks time on this Thursday, 30th of October. Recording this pretty close to 2 p.m., and it's a pretty cloudy day out there as promised here around the Youngstown area. What you see is what you get today, kind of a gloomy looking day with only a few slivers of sun here and there. We had a little bit of drizzle in some spots at the start of the day today, but otherwise uneventful. There are some communities that do have trick or treat this evening, and they are lucking out because this will be easily the nicest evening of the next three, with rain coming our way tomorrow. More rain, even some snow showers around on Saturday as temperatures continue to plummet. We'll talk about that more in just a second. Zooming out and take a look at the nation as a whole. Let me take off the satellite picture here. We'll throw up the temperature contours. And we've got 60s, we've got 70s in a lot of the south where it's pretty nice outside today. But here's where the cold air is building up in Canada. And it's starting to leak into Montana and North Dakota. We've got a cold front right in through here. This is what's coming our way as we head into tomorrow and into tomorrow night and Saturday, bringing us some big-time changes. So let's talk about those changes. First thing I want to do, first of all, I'll take off all of the current information. First thing I want to do is actually show you the 500 millibar chart, or the chart showing the atmospheric conditions, if you will, at about 18,000 feet, or what weather, enthusiast or professional meteorologist would call the 500 millibar level. Check out what's going on. Let me back all the way up to today, this evening. See this little colorful area right here. This is a vorticity maximum, an area of spinning air up at the mid-levels of the atmosphere. And this has cruised all the way across Canada and now is starting to dive south. And believe it or not, this is the remnant vorticity area from what was once a hurricane out in the Pacific. That the same disturbance associated with that hurricane moved across Canada and is now starting to dive south. And boy, is this going to really deepen as it comes into the U.S. So as we go through time, this is overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. This continues to dive down through the Great Lakes and really carves out a very sharp trough across the eastern U.S. by tomorrow afternoon. Here's Halloween afternoon. Check out the weather pattern now across the U.S. tomorrow afternoon. Everything's much sharper. We've got a big ridge poking up here, big deep trough off the west coast, and then our big sharpening, deepening trough in the east. So it's a highly, it's a pattern with a lot of amplitude to it, and that usually means some interesting things are going on in the atmosphere, and that's what we do expect to have happen. So by tomorrow night, this thing is diving through the Ohio Valley, and this bowling ball is really barreling through the Carolinas then. Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon, the center of this upper level low is over South Carolina by Saturday. And this is going to spell some very interesting weather down in some very far south latitudes as we go through time. Let's talk about the precipitation type. Let me take off that stuff, and we'll bring back up precipitation type based on the NAM model, which I think is handling this system pretty well. So, of course, green would be rain, blue would be snow, and we'll go into tomorrow afternoon. Raining here around Youngstown, but the snow is starting to fall up in Michigan as the cold air starts to wrap in with this system. By tomorrow evening, trick-or-treat time and high school football time, we're still in the green. It's still going to be raining. It's going to be blustery and chilly throughout eastern Ohio and into western Pennsylvania. Watch what happens as we head through Friday night, overnight, and into Saturday morning, and I'll zoom in a little bit here. Notice the snow is starting to fly all the way down into the hills and the mountains of western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, even some of the higher elevations of northern Georgia, starting to see snow because of how far south that big bowling ball upper low is moving, and it's also deepening. So this is a dynamic situation. Even western parts of Ohio can start to see some snow late Friday night into Saturday morning. We've been advertising snowflakes around Youngstown on Saturday. I'm starting to doubt that's actually going to happen in a lot of spots. I think the core of the coldest air is actually missing us to the south and to the west. So western North Carolina gets snow before we do, but that's just how, kind of weird and interesting this system is. So I think Saturday is still going to be a cold day, a blustery day here, but probably not a lot in the way of snowflakes. I think there can be a few snowflakes mixed in with a few rain showers, but I don't think we're going to see real legitimate snow showers in a lot of places because the core of the cold is actually pivoting around us and going down into the deep south. So even places such as Charlotte, North Carolina, could see snowflakes out of this on Saturday. Now, it's not going to stick down there, but still, this is very, very early in the season. November 1st, to see snowflakes in a far south latitude such as Charlotte and Greenville, South Carolina, places such as that. So, yeah, an unusual situation shaping up. And since this is all going to the south, that's where the snow accumulations will be, especially in the mountains. Here's the snowfall accumulations based on the NAM model, and again, I think this is doing a pretty good job. When we start to see these blues showing up down here in the southern Appalachians, right along the Blue Ridge Parkway, this is 2, 3, 4, perhaps even 5 or 6 inches in some of the real highest elevations in parts of western North Carolina, extreme eastern Tennessee, southwest Virginia. So, that's pretty interesting. Now, up in the Ohio Valley, I think as far north as Cincinnati, Dayton, perhaps Indianapolis, could there be someone in there that gets an inch out of this? I think that's possible, but we're not looking at any accumulations across eastern Ohio and into western parts of Pennsylvania. All right, then we're going to dry things out on Sunday. Sunshine will be out. Here's a look at the long-range overall pattern. Here's that big deep trough for Saturday. As we go through time, that lifts out into the northeast. This will end up being a big snow event for Atlantic Canada, parts of eastern Maine as well. And then a ridge is going to pump into the east. Remember that ridge I showed you that's over the Rockies and the plains on Saturday? That'll be centered over our neck of the woods by Monday. That's going to allow temperatures to warm up pretty nicely. This cold shot coming in is going to be pretty brief. So the warm air gets in, and then it goes. And I think the end of next week is going to feature a bit of a cool down as the ridge recenters itself over the Rocky Mountain states, a little bit of troughiness here in the east. And so while it's not a cold pattern, it's probably quite a bit chillier than the start of the week next week, and temperatures will start to really trend back towards average, perhaps even a little below average. In fact, here's the 16-day GFS ensemble temperature outlook. Well, here's our big cool down for the weekend. This is Saturday, 40 or so. Sunday, maybe 43, 44 if we're optimistic. And then Monday into Tuesday and Wednesday, we definitely take a spike upwards. And this might even be a little bit conservative. 60 is a possibility, I think, before midweek is through. And then at the end of next week, we start trending down. Again, you're not seeing much cold air in the longer range, but cooler, yes. All right, so that's today's weather for Weather Geeks tonight on my weather blog, ericwfmj.com. On our station weather website, wfmj.com/weather, we're going to post the winter forecast early. In other words, before those who are just watching on TV will see it. We're going to have a version of it posted in a couple of different places. Again, my weather blog and our wfmj.com/weather site. Now, the video that accompanies that is definitely a long one. I've already made it. It is geared towards weather hobbyists, weather enthusiasts. Chances are, if you're watching this video, hey, you're really into the weather. And chances are you have a little more tolerance for a longer video. You'll stick with it, in other words. It's not necessarily geared towards the general public who just wants the bottom line. How much snow this winter? How cold is it going to be? How warm is it going to be? If you want to know the reasons why our forecast is the way it is, I think you'll find that video interesting. I'm also going to have a text version of that on my weather blog. So if you're more of a reader instead of a video watcher, you can scan through the text version. And that'll be online this evening. Not sure exactly what time, but I'll give you a heads up on Facebook and Twitter. And you can watch the TV version, which is a shorter version. It's a simplified version of the winter forecast, and it will make its debut tonight on 21 News at 11 o'clock. We've got you covered for the winter forecast. I think you'll find it interesting. Some of you are going to like it. Some of you will not. And we'll just see how it goes. In the meantime, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you tonight on the news.